guessing it's not a coincidence that three of the top 4 picks that we had were guys that you coached at the Senior Bowl. How much did that factor into it, and what did you like about those guys?
Yeah, I was disappointed at the draft that all those guys that got drafted that they didn't say, like, they kept thanking their college coach. Should have been thanking the last head coach that they had. You know, it was a cool opportunity to get to know those guys at a different level, and obviously, I mean, our scouting side of it does a great job, and they're gonna, they have a whole year's worth or a whole career's worth to evaluate a guy, but to be able to go there and put a stamp on a guy was definitely worth it. I think when the first offensive line meeting that we had, I went into it and I started talking about like what it's like to be a rookie in an offensive line room and how that's probably the biggest obstacle in any room in any building is the offensive line room as a rookie. You have more duties than anything, and just the way that he handled that conversation, how he has respect for the position and then the guys that that he's trying to emulate. I think it was really cool to see that. So we got off to a great start, and then on the practice field part of it, the guy just doesn't blink. I mean, just it's natural to him, and you can tell this guy's made of the right stuff.
What sets him apart in terms of skill set and things that you like that you can work with?
Well, I just think it's unique for someone that big to be able to bend and be that athletic and as explosive as he is. I think that's just it's hard to come around guys that are that big, that long. Like the length is unbelievable, and the power is unbelievable, and then be able to have that athleticism go with it too was all really cool.
You've got 2 tackles that can really move in space now. What does that do for you as an offensive coordinator when you guys on either edge can really do like that?
Well, I mean, that's kind of the history of what I've been around in this league. I mean, having athletic offensive linemen is really valuable to what we want to do and what we want to accomplish. So I think as many of those types of guys that we can get is going to make us better for sure and getting to do what we want to do.
When we talked to you in Mobile about how you might work on the offense in the offseason, what might change, your response was, well, who's on the team? Mm-hmm. Now you know. Now you have some guys you can see. So what do you think will be different about your offense going forward? What things can you do now that you have upgraded personnel?
Well, I think one of the things that I was reflecting on just after the draft happened, just kind of looking at the roster that we had a year ago to where we're at. I mean, purely in the numbers sense and the competition that we'll have now at each position, I think that part of it will be the best thing that we have going forward from a year ago. But yeah, I think we're still so early in the process. With the veteran guys, we're back into that part of it where we're just teaching. We're not really like installing plays. We're just teaching right now. And now that we this is our first opportunity around these young guys to kind of see what their movement skills are, what their capabilities are, learning and stuff. So I think we're just at the beginning part of those phases. I think it's too soon to tell, but we're going to challenge these guys like we did last year with as much as possible and see what can stick.
What about a receiver specifically? I mean, I look at that from the outside last year saying, can they find 5 or 6 guys here? And now you might have trouble finding spots for some people at the end of that.
Yeah, no, I think that stuff always plays itself out. It does, and as you guys recall just last year how many different sets of starting lineups we had to go through with that position. Hopefully we won't have to do that, but I think it all plays itself out. I think guys will find their role, and it's way too soon in this process to be able to say who has what role. I think it's a really cool opportunity for a lot of them to take a big chunk of it. So I'm excited to see who's ready to grab the reins of that stuff.
What do you get as a kind of the offensive mastermind with DJ, and what does Justin get from a quarterback-friendly perspective?
Well, quarterback-receiver relationship, we've talked about this in here, is so important, right? I mean, I think that, as great of a quarterback it can be or as great of a receiver can be, if there's not a relationship and a connection between the two of them, then it doesn't really matter. And so I think they're in that phase right now of getting to know each other. What's cool is DJ's experiences that he's had. He's had to play with a few different quarterbacks and a few different systems, so you can tell that he doesn't really get fazed by the new, which is going to be really good. And then once those two can communicate with one another, body language, quick communication verbally and stuff, I think all that will get better as we get going. And it's been fun to see those guys throw some routes on air as we're in this phase 2 part of it.
Where were you when you got word of that
Addition.
Of DJ?
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably somewhere with one of my kids, somewhere doing something, but I'm not sure.
I mean, excite you when?
Oh,
when you
for
do
sure,
that?
for sure. I have a lot of friends that have coached in Carolina, and immediately when it happened, they all called and just talked about the kind of man that we're getting on this football team more than anything. So we're really, really, really excited about that.
What do you like about Roshan Johnson? And just kind of, I know that he's more of a raw prospect because of the lack of experience playing running back up until college, but high ceiling wise, like what do you see there?
Yeah, you just talk about the right kind of guy. The makeup of that guy is really cool. The interviews that we've had with him prior to it, and then now getting to know him here over the last day or two. All the different things that he did in Texas too. I think that's really cool. As you guys know, we like to have guys that can do as many different things as possible, and so he really gives us a lot of really cool flexibility too. So he's a guy who doesn't really get phased and can learn a lot. He already just in this one practice, proved that he's able to handle a lot.
Will that room look much different, you think, this year? I know with the Foreman being the number one guy in Carolina, Khalil being in line now with David gone. Like, how do you envision, I guess, that group coming together with Roshan now?
Yeah, I would say the vision isn't necessarily set yet, but I think it's a really cool, unique opportunity with a lot of guys that have a lot of experience. I think the competition in that room is going to be real, and so we're going to get to see, the best come out of each one of those guys. And it's super important for that position to have multiple guys that can do it, right? I mean, I don't know if there's any team that can rely on one guy anymore with the pounding and the length of the season and all that stuff. So I think it's awesome that we have as many guys as we do that we feel like we can count on.
Coach, you're obviously going to coach whoever's on your roster. You did it last year. But coming into this season, you've addressed wide receiver, you've addressed offensive line, a couple of your glaring needs. Do you feel like you have everything you need to implement the system as you see it?
Yeah, I feel like we've gotten better, and I feel like we're continuing to get better. I think that connection amongst the group, I think, the stability of the group is important. We had a lot of different lineups that showed up last year, and so that's going to be really important to kind of get that going so we can, continue to get that continuity. I was talking with Joel Hilgenberg or Jay, sorry, and one of the things that he was talking to me about that era is the continuity and how they were able to play at such a high level because they all played with each other for so long. I mean, he was giving me like some deep inside, like, hey, we're playing this team, and this 2-wide technique was giving us problems in the middle of the game. I'm like, hey, you block him, I'll go around him, and I'll go block the will. That wasn't part of the play call, but that continuity that they had, I think that's the next step. We got to get this group playing together as one, 11 as one.
Luke, with Robert, with Tanya, obviously the relationship with him in Green Bay. What did you come to appreciate about him there, and what do you like about putting him with Cole?
Yeah, no. So Bobby was a practice squad guy when I got there, or when I was leaving from there to go to Mississippi State. So I got to know him for a few weeks. Came back to a guy that just had transformed himself into this workaholic tough guy. I mean, Bobby's transformed his game, and so I think that's contagious for anybody. And I think guys are already seeing it out there. And for Cole, I think that's exactly where he could take his game. I think Cole's, he just kept getting better and better and better as the year went along. And I think Bobby's going to be a really good example for him and all the experiences that he's been through within the system, even to kind of give him some cool nuances of how we can do what we do better.
Ryan and Matt said that they did their due diligence on the college quarterbacks with that number 1 pick, that they thoroughly vetted those guys to see, is there someone that blows us away enough to make a change at quarterback? Did you have a role in that process too?
I mean, I was part of the, watching and evaluating film, and then we interviewed them at the combine, so I was a part of that stuff too, yeah.
So as part of that, you guys are evaluating Justin. What do you, and in a comparative way of saying whose ceiling is higher, which guy do we feel confident in? As you studied Justin and evaluated his season last year, and maybe even his rookie year, what were the things that stood out to you that said, this is the guy, we have to stay with this guy?
Yeah, I don't really think it's apples to apples in that sense. I really don't think you say, okay, hey, here's where we have a Justin and where he can go, or here's where these guys can go. I think it's just you're doing your due diligence with the draft as we do with every single position. But I think it's as we evaluated Justin from last year, I think the growth from where everybody, including yourselves, like how the way you viewed the guy and the way the team viewed the guy to where he was at this time last year to where he is now. I think it just is light years ahead of where it was, and we feel like he has a ton more to grow going forward. So we're excited to try to get the best out of him moving forward and keep working to where we think he can go.
When you make the argument that he'll grow as a passer, what do you build that argument on? What do you, we see the stats, and it's the least production in the league last year at that position. What do you see that you argue translates with better personnel, those numbers are going up?
Yeah, I think you're just talking purely, completions, and you're talking purely yards, right? And so the yards that he ran for, a third of those came off of pass plays that were scrambles that he decided to run, which is an element that we're fortunate to have with him in that position. So, and then it goes to everything, right? Getting the team around him better, and us all being together for another year, and the continuity that we have and the communication that he and I have. Where we were to kind of at the beginning of the season to the end of the season, I think is a lot better, and so we're hoping to build off of all that stuff. I think anytime you can be together with somebody and keep that consistency, there's going to be growth, and he has a lot more growth ahead of him, and we're excited to tap into that.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
All right, good morning. Great to see you all again. How you guys doing? Man, I'm doing absolutely wonderful, phenomenal. Excited about today's practice and seeing what these guys will come out and do, how much information they can retain, how they can apply what we're doing in the meeting room, in the classroom to the field, and see if they can take it to teams. So I'm fired up, excited. It's an exciting time. We've got some good rookies in here. So with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Richard, Johnson's a guy who's done a lot on teams in college and obviously very willing. I'm curious as you get your hands on what jumps out to you, one, about what he can give you and your unit, and two, just kind of the wiring that we're hearing so much about.
Yeah, Dan, great question. He is a phenomenal human being, first of all. First and foremost, I think you guys know that when we're talking about the man, but just his leadership skills. You always know when you draft somebody, like when Ryan picks him, and you get like 7 text messages from like special teams coaches from around the league, that, you know what, we made a great selection, and everybody was like, dang. But just in terms of his attention to detail, we had pop quizzes this morning. He stood up in the room and got all of his answers 100% correct. So it shows me from a football standpoint that he's dialed in. And then when you see this guy play football, he is violent as they come. And he could almost be a linebacker. Like the way he covers some kicks are outstanding. So I think he could help us in that area for sure. And he's a good running back as well. So I got a little bit more intel on this kid than I've had on any other kid in the past for obvious reasons, because I know a lot of people down there. But just a quick story about him. You want to talk about who the man is. Yesterday in our meeting, and I don't even know if people know this, but yesterday in our meeting, we got done with everything, and all of the guys left out. And it just showed me a little bit about the man. And there were some water bottles, like sitting. Some guys didn't pick up their water bottles. So he's getting ready to go to the next meeting, and he asks a question, and then as I'm walking out, he goes and cleans up the room, cleans up like the water bottles. And that just shows you that he's going to be, he wants things the way he wants it. He wants things tidy, and he's going to hold guys accountable. So when I saw that, that's just who he is. He didn't like how the room looked. Guys had water bottles left. He picked them up, threw them in the trash, and then went to his meeting. So just, you guys are going to like him a lot. And I think he's a hell of a running back, too. So
Last year, with his first year on kickoff return, he said he felt that was a pretty natural role for him. In your evaluation of it, did he seem like a pretty natural fit there?
yeah, he's naturally talented, big, strong, physical. He caught the ball well. He can do. That's why we like him a lot. He has a lot of versatility. He can play kickoff return. He could play up back there and block for a guy like Valus or Ebner or Khalil. So, our guys, did a great job. I want to credit our players, first of all, on kickoff return. They were second in the league at that last year. So they did a phenomenal job at that. So he could do that, or he could block on the front line, and he can help us cover kicks. And in this division, we got to cover kicks because really all 4 teams in our division were in the top 5 on kickoff return. So they did a nice job returning them, but we're going to use Roshan to help cover them too. So
You keep him from becoming number 1 back.
yeah, I can't stop him from becoming the number 1 back. And actually, in our room, we applaud that. So that's a great question by you. Great question by Courtney. I just think this guy, for me, when a guy excels and ascends like that, we applaud that in our room. So I can't stop him from being the number 1 back, but I hope that whatever he is for the Bears, he's everything that we drafted him for. So,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
With Khalil having been so productive on teams for you, if he's now going to be the number 1 back, does that diminish or does that take away from some of what he does for teams or no?
Well, we'll talk about it. Like, we're a ways away, but, like, so if that ever happened, like, we would have to manage his workload. So we'd have to manage his workload. So we'll see. You know, Khalil's a heck of a back. We got Homer, who's a heck of a back and a teamer. We got Ebner. We got Deontay Foreman. So when you got a room like that, what I see is guys stepping their game up to the next level. So competition brings out the best in all of us. And I think our personnel department has done an unbelievable job adding competition, particularly to that room, but across the board now. So when you get good, you'll be more competitive. You'll have more guys that are here that can play and do different roles, which is unbelievable. I mean, we still got a ways to go, but it's unbelievable where it is now to where it started last year after the draft.
Richard, with Tyler Scott, what did you kind of learn about him, seeing what he did as a gunner at Cincinnati?
Yeah, okay. Him, like, this guy can fly. So Tyler Scott, him and the other kid they had there, Tucker, I was talking to Tyler in the cafeteria yesterday. He said they would almost race. You know, they would race to see who could beat to the ball first. And at Cincinnati, special teams was like, it was how he earned his keep. So he's willing to do anything and everything he can do, as well as playing receiver for us. But he was phenomenal on his releases. And this kid scratching 4.3, 4.4 speed. And he's, for an offensive player, he doesn't look like a guy that doesn't know how to tackle. So we're excited about him in that role, and he's excited to play. So there's another great addition right there. So
With Tyler, it's a guy who didn't do punt returns in Cincinnati. What did you see, and I know you spoke about the speed a little bit just then, what did you see to give him a shot back there a few times yesterday?
yeah, you watch him practice. I like it. Yeah. So he did it as a backup returner in college, which we knew from our studying the kid, and then he also did it in high school. So no matter who the receivers or DBs are at this time of year, we try to train all of them because on game day you never know who you're going to have. So you want to make sure that you give them every opportunity to make the team. And at this point, we're just looking for guys that are Bears fits. So guys that fit our culture, guys that can do more. You know, the more you can do. So that's why we put him back there. He actually did a decent job yesterday.
Richard, in your role, when you're in a situation where there is a whole bunch of roster turnover, what are these next 5 or 6 weeks like for you as you're just kind of getting the puzzle pieces out and trying to figure out where they go?
Yeah, it's just, it's really exciting time, really, because you get to see as it goes, you'll see which, they always say like the cream rises to the top. So you'll see who's who and who's going to be good at what. And we got some really exciting guys. Like even you guys will probably talk to Noah here in a second, but Noah is another one that I'm excited about. And where he's going to fit in his role, because we got more competition in the linebacker room with him being added, and then Dylan Cole coming has been a phenomenal special teams player in this league. So it's just a fun time, and you just got to juggle it and organize it and make sure everybody's getting reps. Maybe one day a guy gets, he's the starter, and then the next day he's not the starter. Doesn't mean he did something wrong. It means we may have seen enough and he done something good. We just have to evaluate everybody. So that's a great question. It's a lot of juggling to do at this time.
Richard,
when you were talking about competition and the value of competition, the effect that that has, I thought of Velus Jones, and I was wondering, do you think that this will be a good thing for him to have these guys coming in? It's a different situation than last year for him. Now he has kind of a spot to defend. Do you think this will light a fire under him that will be good?
Jay, that's a good question. I think his fire has always been lit. I don't think it'll change the man. I think, again, competition brings the best out of all of us. So I think it'll be a good thing for him. I think it'll be a good thing for our team. I think it'll be a good thing for everyone involved. So the only thing that happens when you get competition that I've seen on the past of the teams I've been fortunate enough to be with is when you get competition, you get a room like that, then the leaders start standing out and they just start separating themselves. I tell the players all the time, I don't make the depth chart. You do. That's the beauty of it. So you make the depth chart. All I do is see what's on the tape. So you decide if you're going to be up there or down here by what you do on tape, by how you prepare, by how much you're willing to work, how you retain information, how you apply the drill to the field. So it's going to be great to see. Thank you all.